It's mine. It's all mine.
You would think so. You think so. But the truth is...
I have a good news for Dennis,
What's that?
His bank account will going to be empty tomorrow.
It will not be empty tomorrow.
All the money, I have access of his bank account, and I'll fetch all the money in one shot.
Don't even go for that.
Oh.
You need to back off.
And this will be a very, very big shot. I just want to congratulate him. That's it. Can you just give him a phone for a second?
No.
That's a good news. If you will not do that, I will remove all the money right back account.
You need to back off because if he has the information, yeah.
If you will hang up now, back account will be empty.
What are you saying, sir?
I said that if you will hang up, his bank account will be empty.
Okay, so what is it you want?
What I want, rather than you lose all the money, why don't you share 50-50? Keep 50% in your account, give me 50%.
We're not. No, that's not an option. That's not an option. That's you're trying to play games, and that's not.
I am not giving you an option. Okay. I don't want Dennis will be homeless. So this will be something a very, very big shock that Dennis will get.
No, you need to. I don't understand what you're talking about.
He might get very upset. And will you feed him if you don't have money?
I don't know. You're making threats here.
Will you?
Hey, I think you need to stop calling, please. So this was an event. I was actually pretty early in my career of owning a business. This is a few years back, more than a few years back, and I just happened to decide to record the conversation. This was actually funny. I didn't use my voice recorder. For some reason, I used my camera, so I pulled out the audio. But this was a real life hacker. Now, here's the crazy part. This guy, by the time we had started the conversation with him, he already had cleaned out, I think it was $30,000 or $40,000 from my customer. Now, my customer didn't call me when all this was going down until after it was done. But this was the result of he calling me on the phone in a panic. I drove over, and the hacker was still calling him and still making threats and whatnot. So at the end of the day, we ended up cleaning out or basically shutting down all of his accounts and having him restart banking accounts because of this incident. The reason why we share this is because this is real. You can hear the audio of this guy. Literally, he has no care about the effect that his stealing money has on anyone whatsoever. So with that, welcome to the Business and Bites podcast. Right back here with Ryan again. Emilio's out at a conference. I think he's got a booth, which we should have taken a screenshot of the booth and stuck it here so that we could actually see, so we can actually show it to people. But he sent us a picture on Facebook of the booth, and it looks good. And so Emilio's out and trying to make more money, which is what we're all trying to do. So it's awesome. And so Ryan and I are going to talk today about hackers. We're going to talk about the things that we've experienced. This is just one story. We talked a little bit last week about this. This is literally just one story that I happen to catch the audio on. So if you're just now tuning in, after this is not live anymore, you can hit the rewind button and listen to the audio of this Russian hacker that we talked about. But here's the reality. They have no soul. That's just what
no soul.
No soul.
So how did that end up? How did that end, John?
He lost $40,000. I don't know that he ever got it back.
Wow.
He had a small business, just him and one partner, and that was pretty much it as far as what was in the office. This is well before I was doing cybersecurity. This is back when most of us MSPs were just doing virus protection. That was really it. But he fell for a phishing attack, email phishing, and that's how he got this happened. So right after this, he'd already lost a bunch of money by the time I got to this conversation. And I basically got on the phone with his bank at the time and helped him cancel and work with the people to change his accounts, shut down his current accounts, and all of that.
Did you have to certify that you took care of everything on his computer?
Not in this case. There was no insurance involved, and again, this is well before we had cybersecurity insurance, and this is or at least that we were pushing it. This is probably 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
This conversation happened.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, and here's the real big difference between what we see today and back 5 years ago. The no soul hasn't changed whatsoever. The lack of care and the pure evil of the people that we're dealing with has not changed. What has changed is their abilities and their tools over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that again.
And
what
AI,
has changed? Yep, is AI being more prevalent, new tools to trick people. Social engineering is much better than it was 5 years ago. That's the only thing that's changed. The attitude of I don't care, I'll steal all your money, still the same. 100% the same. There's no difference. The only difference between this guy back then and what they are now, they're actually more capable than they were back 5 years ago.
1,000 times more.
100%.
Yeah.
And they're targeting larger businesses. I think that's the other part that we're seeing. This is a solopreneur. They're going after as many people as they can. The net is wide. We're seeing a lot of larger businesses get hacked, but they're making the news probably because of social media. Makes it a lot easier to see that news. But we're seeing this is happening to all sizes of businesses, all types.
And they're doing research on social media to get a little bit of information about these people before they even call them.
Yeah.
So
totally.
they feel like people on the other end that are getting scammed feel like they know, like these people actually know them. And it's so easy to scrape information off social media and other platforms now.
Well, and in this case, this particular client, he's not actually a client anymore. He was a high risk clicker. I knew he was. I mean, he made himself high risk throughout the whole relationship, and we did. And this was by far the worst. And this is before we had the email tools and the things that we have today. I mean, but this was simply a social engineering. He literally called him, tricked him over the phone to give his information out, and the customer gave out his information over the phone. Like it literally happened in real time. And I actually cut quite a bit of the conversation out because I had some dialogue between the customer and myself. I didn't really want him to be revealed out of just respect for him. But this dialogue went on. This was I think it was a 5-minute video that I cut down to just over 3 minutes. I kept in most of the dialogue between me and the Russian hacker, and it's just nuts. And they just don't care. They don't care at all.
No, they don't. I mean, I wish I had if I had $1 for every time that we've dealt with one of these hackers that are just scamming like small solopreneurs or even, old ladies, old men. Yeah. It's so scary. And I hear stories about this at least twice a month of people that have been hacked. And I said, and they know me. And I'm like, why didn't you call me? You know I do this for a living. And they're like, well, we didn't want to bother you. Well, now you're $50,000 poorer, or you're $10,000 poorer.
Well, and they don't understand. It takes more time for us to fix these problems than it does for us to keep them from happening.
100%, 100%.
It takes more time for us to go through the remediation process than it is for you to call us and ask us a 2 or 3 minute question or tell us the scenario and us to tell you, hey, don't do that.
I've had people that have called me in the middle of this. They're on their home phone, they'll pick up their cell phone or vice versa. And I can hear them in the background. And I'm not kidding. I've had 3 of these, and they were all businesses that we do work for. And they said, what do? I said, hang up the phone. First of all, hang up the phone. And, sometimes the most sophisticated person can be tricked by this. And people that you would think that wouldn't be tricked can be. And with these AI voice emulating programs now, they can make themselves sound like anybody. And it's just that's the scary part, that a voice on the phone that might take care of your IT support, but are they taking care of your IT support as that voice, or are they taking care of your IT support to steal money from you?
Right.
So, and masquerading as that person, that's happening too. It's just
100%.
And, I always feel so bad because they target the weak, they target the elderly, and they target people that are really compromised to begin with. And they don't even understand what they're talking to the person about in a lot of cases. So, and it's just because it's foreign to them. And if we could have a way to stop that, the world would be a better place, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but there's a lot of things that can be done to prevent these types of things, especially when it's social engineering.
Yes,
So.
100%. Yeah. So I'll tell you my story that happened just this week, John. This was
I'm ready.
Pretty amazing. So we had a client, and they said, we don't need all that extra security. They denied all the extra security. And just this week, they had $60,000 stolen from them. It was a combination of a social media attack and a business email compromise. And like them a lot. We've been working with them for a long time. They're a great client. And, if we would have had just the basic tools in place to protect them, that probably wouldn't have happened. I told them it's like a 99.9% chance that it would not have happened. And now they're $60,000 poorer because of that. And it was a crazy way they did it. I've never seen one quite like this. I've seen a lot of business email compromises. I've seen a lot of social media. We'll call them hacks. I don't even think they're hacks, but just clever social media scams. And we've seen a lot. And with this one, they were using social hacking or social engineering along with a business email compromise, and they pulled it off. And we didn't know about it until about 10 days after it happened, because they had thought they sent a wire to the right place, and they didn't send a wire to the right place. And they sent it right into the hacker's bank account. And I'm sure it's long gone seconds after it reached the hacker's bank account to cover it up.
Yeah, especially if they're 40.
Yeah. It's an interesting, scary world out there, but one little bit later we'll tell you.
Social engineering, was their insurance company involved at all?
They did not have any cyber liability insurance. They did not even have any other type of insurance that would cover it. They're still looking into that. They're hoping they have something, but it's kind of just gone right now. And their bank says they may be able to do something. We'll see. I have done one before where the bank actually made good on, I think it was $25,000 that were stolen out of a former business owner's account that we do work for. This was like 2 years ago, and the bank actually made good on that because they had protection through their bank and they didn't even realize they did. So that was a pleasant surprise for them.
Wow. Well, that's going to become less and less. Of course, banks and insurance companies are starting to really push back on covering those types of things, especially when it involves social engineering or steps that could have been taken to prevent this type of issue.
Totally. What about this Workday hack we're hearing about, John?
Well, I was going to say, speaking of social engineering, we had this Workday hack that just happened. So HR giant Workday says hackers stole personal data in a recent breach. Now, when you do some of the research on this, what you find is that this was mainly done through their CRM. So they're what's it called? What's the name of the big Salesforce? They're a Salesforce client. So their people, these hackers actually use social engineering over the phone and email to gain access, and they got access to the tenant of Workday. So it wasn't a Salesforce hack; it was a social engineering hack that gave them access just to Workday. If that makes sense. So it was Workday employees that were fooled. And it's still out. Most of what Workday claims that was taken would have been sales related information that would be not. They're just names, phone numbers, and people that Workday's been working with. But here's the thing about that: that's still enough. Especially when you talk about an HR giant. So now all these cyber criminals have access to all the people that Workday has been doing business with. So now they can go through and socially engineer attacks of those businesses. And here's what I would say. If you're on Workday, I would put your feelers up for business email compromises, so that you can actually protect your business and be you can be protected. Sorry, I'm watching Emilio's because he's following us on LinkedIn while he's at his conference, and so he's posting questions. What type of solution would protect a company from a breach like that? Is it through social? If it's through social media, I think he's talking about your story from earlier. The only thing you can really do, in this case, I think it's training.
Totally.
Cybersecurity training. The same thing with this Workday hack. It's a matter of you making sure that your people have the knowledge and the skills to spot this stuff and to make sure that they're able to see when something doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. And I think, again, anybody, if you're listening and you're using Workday in your business for your HR, you need to have your feelers up and have a staff meeting with your people and say, we need to expect that we're going to see phishing attempts in the next 6 months or less. 100%. If you are a Workday customer, you are going to experience phishing attacks.
Totally.
It's going to happen because they've got your information now, and they've got enough to figure out your title, your information. I've been getting these videos. Do I have it here?
Well, you're looking that up, John. So one of the ways, getting to Emilio's question, there's also some new technologies that we have that allow us to talk between the cloud and talk between your computers in your office and your server. These technologies didn't exist a year or two ago. Now they exist that allow us to shut down a computer in the office that might be associated with a cloud account, like a Salesforce account, like a Microsoft 365 or a Google G Suite account. And we now have tools available that can do that and would shut down the whole stream from the cloud all the way to the computer and vice versa. So there's so many good tools out there. Again, you need good human expertise like we've talking about that know what they're doing on how to implement them. Humans can only do, tools are only so good. Humans know how to implement them right. And, you want to contact your qualified IT company to help you with that.
Well, here's a great example. I'm going to make sure there's no information here that's a big deal for me to share. It just has my name. Okay, so here's a good example of another one that happened. This was one that's coming into our stuff. So this comes into my CRM. This is literally an email from somebody trying to scam us. Let's see if I get the email here. This is an email from somebody trying to scam us by pretending that I sent an email to them. hey, kindly process this instant ACH payment for the attached invoice today. Details below. A fake email from me saying, oh, I apologize. I thought I had already forwarded this to our accounting team. I'll ensure it gets handled properly. Best regards, John Hansman, and which my signature doesn't look like that. But so they're literally, this is a really common scam. We get a lot of these, even to our own thing, where you actually see this, where they're actually trying to pretend that they're me. Now that's obvious. I'm the CEO of the company. They probably looked me up on LinkedIn. They're going to socially engineer something with our company because they're trying to basically steal money, run an invoice scam. But this is a really common way to socially engineer an attack towards a business. Pretend that you're somebody that you got an email from somebody important in the business, and forward it to the generic HR or
AP.
accounting service.
Totally. I got one about a month ago that said, hey, we're looking for an RFP for so and so. And I'm like, oh, okay, somebody's looking for an RFP. But it was really a phishing attempt because they wanted me to log in with my Microsoft 365 credentials. Caught that really quickly when I looked at it. But at first glance, it was like, well, that looks real. I can see how people fall for these things.
Yeah,
And that one skipped through our filters. That was probably the first one in a year or two that skipped through our filters, but it looked so legitimate. I can see how it skipped through the filters.
Yeah.
And that's why good training and awareness and making sure that people know when that hair on the back of their neck standing up, or when you get the chills and the goosebumps that, that the zombies give us, that's when you want to have that spiny sense and that tingly sense to tell you, don't hang up the phone, delete the email.
Yeah. We see these fairly regularly in our filters. It's very often that we see them. And one of the craziest things, when you go looking at it, the address isn't even the right address. It got emailed supposedly from me, but it's some it looks like whatever the JP domain is. That might be Japan or something like that. So it's some random domain from who God knows where that has nothing to do with me. It's not even remotely close to me. Now, the advantage we have is in this particular system, the address is straightforward. In Microsoft Office, you have to run your mouse over it. But I recommend, for anything that involves somebody saying that they want money, then you should always double check the email address, because it's a really common way, especially if it's an invoice that doesn't make sense. Like, if you do like this one, like, I don't even know who this company is. Like, it's just some random company they're hoping that we're bigger than we are, and that we have a really big HR or payables department, and that they're just not paying attention. And that's how I think it was longer than that, 5 years ago, both Google and Facebook lost millions of dollars through this type of scheme.
Oh yeah, and they're pulling it out like $10,000 at a time.
Yep, exactly. And it was a fake invoice scheme, but they, instead of it being one and they caught it because they were so big, these people just asked for it in little chunks, and the department just kept paying it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy.
I've seen this in bigger corporations. When we do work for an office of a bigger corporation, they'll forward stuff to me that came in for that domain, for that company, that location. And I'm like, oh, geez. We get about, 4 to 5 emailed to us a week from clients. They say, is this real? Is this legit? And these are the clients that have the protection don't get these. But the clients that don't have the protection, they'll say, oh, is this real? Is this fake? And that's just the ones that they're sending us. I don't know how many they're getting that they're not sending us. And that's the scary part. Is there another 10 going into the mailbox a day or a week or even a month? 10 a year is too many. So, we get them, and then we analyze them for them. We send them through an analyzer that we have. And then we go back and we say, hey, this is like 99% a scam. And, almost all of them that get sent to us are scams, because if the client's actually asking, they know something's wrong. They know something's up. But not everybody is as savvy as that RFP one I got a month ago. I look at it and I can see how people can fall for these things instantly. Like, oh, I can bid on a job. I can bid on a job that's $100,000 job, and they're just
Right.
focused on that. They're not even focused on who that's from, or that they're typing in their email and their password in there. It's just
Or
crazy.
that when you go look up the company, it's sitting in like at a warehouse that's not even remotely, or a shared office or something like that. I had one that, funny enough, there was one, and there was a scam going around within our industry for a while where somebody would send you an email wanting to buy 25 computers and get a quote for it and all of that. And can you get it drop shipped? They usually pick companies that are in a different state than where they want it drop shipped. So there's no reason to meet you in person. And one of them, I remember doing the research and found out there was an IT company right upstairs. Like, you couldn't just walk upstairs and ask the other company? Like,
Yeah,
really?
totally.
There's a lot of those types of things. And again, the reality of why this works is it's emotion. It's literally these hackers, playing on the emotions of people, either by urgency or by fear, or even in some cases, like in the computer scam that I was just talking about, it's by pure motivation to make more money. It's like, if I could sell 25 computers, that's a great amount of money that I could make without having to do very much if I just drop, like all those things go through. And you've got to pause and think, oh, that may be too good to be true.
Yeah, and all this has gotten so bad that when we get leads in, and if myself or one of the other people in our office is looking at it and going to work on a proposal, we've even questioned real positive leads where people are actually emailing us saying they need this and this and this, and they're a new client coming to us, and I've actually gotten on the phone with them to make sure they're real. And that's another way to combat it. Just get on the phone with somebody and just see if it sounds real, see if it sounds legit. And if it sounds too good to be true, like the old saying goes, it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
So John, what kind of tips would you give the listeners on what we can do and what they can do to make their lives better with this?
Well, it's the same thing we talk about every week. Cybersecurity training. I mean, that's how we're gonna solve most of the things that tools don't solve. So if it gets past a tool, your employees are the last line of defense. Tools are important. Tools help to keep things from getting overloaded. And here's what I mean by that. If you get 100 spam emails a day, it's really easy to get desensitized to those 100 emails.
100%.
So tools help weed out the majority of those spam, those things that we know are fake, so they don't even come to your people. And then we use cybersecurity training as the defense to say, well, if it gets through our filters, then we've got some training in place to help people spot these things so they don't give away money.
Yeah, and if the tools are like free, you get what you pay for. There's tools that are included with everybody's free email online, the Gmails, the Yahoos, and the everything, and even tools that are afforded to you through like Microsoft 365 or Google G Suite. Those tools are great. That's one step. There needs to be some other layers behind that to really protect you and to really make sure you're being protected, because these cyber criminals, they know how to get through those tools. They know how to slip through all the cracks because they figured that out. And, these tools are only as good as the last, phishing email or the last bad email that comes in. There's new stuff coming in all the time that can slip right through those cracks.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of people have to realize that they have to train. They've got to put the effort in. You've got to have tools to prevent, especially you want to have tools against ransomware. You want to have tools for business email compromises to make sure that stuff doesn't happen. But training is the thing that would if you had people who are properly trained and it was top of mind on a regular basis, if humans were not involved in cybersecurity incidents, they would go down by 80%.
or more.
Because 80% or more, 80 to even 90% of cybersecurity accidents are caused by human intervention where people made a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not saying fire all your employees, but I am for sure saying you need to train them.
If there's one tool, my clients ask me this all the time. I just talked to 3 clients between yesterday and today. They ask me all the time. They said, because I'm presenting some new tools to them and some new stuff. They said, if I had to pick one tool on here, what's the biggest and most important tool? Our whole company says training. Us, we're the number one tool, but what tool would we pick if we could pick just one? Training and awareness and making sure that people realize it. Because, as we said before, human firewalls are the first defense to anything.
But I would say for every tool you take away, you lower your threshold of protection.
100, yes.
Right.
Totally.
So there's no one tool that can protect you, because the cybersecurity incidents there's not just one type anymore. There's multiple different types. And so we have different tools to protect us against different things, just like doctors or dentists have a different tool to do a different thing. It's the same way with us. We create a layered level of protection so that people can get protected from all angles, whether it's a business email compromise, whether it's ransomware, whether it's something that is, social engineering that gives away passwords. We help put in procedures with our clients. There's no real one tool. And I think that's a myth that was generated by the back in the days before cybersecurity, before COVID, really, where most people were getting IT as you got your virus protection and you got your backups and you got your tech support. And the world just doesn't operate that way anymore. You can't survive on that. Those things are not enough. Just, right out the box.
Think about a plumber. A plumber doesn't come in with a wrench and fix everything, in your house with your plumbing. A plumber is going to come in with a full truck of tools, of which maybe some of those tools that are not on that truck need to be grabbed. So It's the same way with your cybersecurity. There's tons of tools. 100%. I don't know about you, John, but I'm sure you do. I'm 100% sure you do this. We're evaluating 2 to 3 tools a month, and we're evaluating all the new tools because we want to bring the best tools to our clients. And if we find one that's better than what we're using, we're going to switch to it. Because we want to make sure that our clients have state-of-the-art and have the newest cutting-edge security. We don't want them using the same tools. I guarantee you the tool set that we're using today, I can guarantee you the tool set, John, you're using today, is going to change in 6 months.
100%. We're in the middle of swapping out one of our tools now because we found something that we felt was a better deal. And that doesn't affect our client, doesn't affect what our client pays. But it does mean that we're constantly looking at what the best solution for the situation is. And it's not necessarily the situation. It's more about what's the best solution for where we're sitting in the world right now. That's how we choose what we're doing. We look at how things are evolving, and we go and we look for tools that plug that hole. But that's the best thing that you can do is you want to make sure that you're actually looking at the whole thing from a overall approach to make sure that you're getting all the bases covered. You don't just want to have one solution, and you want to be constantly looking at those solutions, as you just said, over and over and over again. It's important.
And going at it yourself is like me trying to change the transmission fluid on my truck. It would be a disaster. And going at it with skilled professionals behind it, like you get your transmission fluid changed by a skilled technician, that is the most that I do too, because it would be a complete mess and I would spend 3 times the amount to get it done after I broke it.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. So I think that's important. Making sure that you're evaluating. You should be, even if you're not an IT professional, you should be evaluating your IT on a regular basis, or having somebody do that and going over that with you.
And if your IT consultant isn't bringing, or your MSP is not bringing new stuff to you at least twice a year and telling you about new technologies, reach out to them, because they need to do you justice. And if they're not doing that, that's something you should question them on, and find out what's going on with the new stuff out there.
Yeah, I feel like that should be part of your regular conversations with them. We don't switch out our tools a lot, but we're constantly evaluating that possibility. It's easy because vendors keep calling us, but
Totally.
it's super easy for that to be the case. But yeah, you should be looking at your stack, or make sure your IT company is looking at your stack regularly.
Yeah, and if they aren't telling you about it, it's time to ask.
Yeah,
and it's time to start poking and prodding.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have Emilio, so maybe, I don't know if it's a shorter show. I think we've been averaging 30 minutes, but is there anything else that you want to throw out there for listeners? No. And I see we've got some viewers that are live. If you've got a question about what we're talking about, or anything in general, please feel free to leave a comment on one of our social medias. If it doesn't pop up here in StreamYard, which is what we're using, so if you're not doing it on Facebook, then it may, or LinkedIn, it may not show up. But please feel free to drop a question in the chat, and or post a question, and we'll make sure we get out to you. It looks like we've got a little bit of a mixture of Facebook and I've got some people X following this, and we had Emilio over in LinkedIn. So feel free to drop a question if you have it, or send us a message on one of our platforms, and we'll make sure we get those questions answered for you.
And Emilio, hope you're spreading the good cybersecurity gospel at your expo that you're at.
I'm sure he is.
Awesome. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here and following us. And again, if you want to follow us, if you're a car podcast listener like I am, you can find us on all the major podcasting places. So Apple, all of those places. Yeah, Spotify, Podbean. We will be uploading this one shortly after we're done.
Thanks, John.
Okay. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time.